the flavor that changed the world. Long before cities rose and kingdoms formed, humans discovered something extraordinary: spices. A pinch of pepper, a slice of ginger, a leaf of cinnamon, tiny things that transformed food, healed wounds, and carried mystical meaning. To ancient people, spices weren't just flavor. They were medicine, magic, wealth, and status. A simple spice had the power to preserve meat in winter, heal a sick child, or impress a king. And soon, people realized something much bigger. If you controlled spices, you controlled power. From that moment, the world changed. Spices sparked curiosity, travel, trade, and eventually, the world's first global economy. When spices were worth more than gold. In ancient markets of Alexandria, Rome, and Constantinople, merchants traded spices in tiny bags as if they were sacred treasures. Pepper was weighed grain by grain. Cloves were locked inside iron chests. Cinnamon sticks were counted like gold coins. A single pound of nutmeg was worth enough to buy a house in Europe. Why so expensive? Because nobody knew where spices came from. Merchants hid their sources behind myths and lies. Cinnamon comes from giant birds' nests. Pepper grows in the land of serpents. Nutmeg grows on floating islands guarded by spirits. These stories weren't just myths, they were economic weapons designed to protect profit. And they kept the spice trade alive for centuries. The ancient spice roads begin. The earliest spice routes weren't maps, they were memories. Paths whispered by travelers, guarded by nomads, learned through generations. Arab traders crossed deserts with caravans loaded with spices. Indian sailors followed monsoon winds across the Indian Ocean. Chinese merchants carried silk, tea, and rare aromatics westward. Slowly, these paths connected. China to India, India to Arabia, Arabia to Africa, and finally to Europe. These roads formed the first international network of wealth, thousands of kilometers long, and they existed long before ships or empires. Where spices traveled, cultures mixed. Religion, science, language, and ideas followed the same path. Spices didn't just build trade, they built civilization. Arab traders and the first global networks. For over 1,000 years, Arab merchants ruled the spice world. They mastered the monsoon winds. They built ports from Yemen to Zanzibar. They kept the source of spices a secret from Europe. Arab traders controlled the supply, the price, and the routes. They were the first global middlemen, and they became legendary. Their ships, called dhows, carried pepper, cloves, cinnamon, and frankincense across the Indian Ocean. They formed a trade network stretching from East Africa to China. This network became the backbone of global commerce centuries before Europe learned the route. Arab traders pioneered maritime navigation, international credit systems, diplomatic trade agreements, multi-continent supply chains. Their mastery created the earliest version of a global economy. Rome's obsession with exotic flavors. When spices reached Rome, the empire fell in love. Senators sprinkled pepper on everything. Wealthy nobles used cinnamon in perfumes. Doctors prescribed spices for nearly every illness. Rome imported thousands of tons of spices every year. The demand was so huge that Roman writers complained. India drains our gold. But Rome couldn't stop. Spices had become status symbols. Forests were cut, Ships were built, armies were funded just to keep the spice supply flowing. Rome's obsession fueled trade routes all the way to India. It even led to the first official diplomatic missions between Europe and Asia. When Rome craved flavor, the global economy expanded. The secret sources of cinnamon and pepper. For centuries, the world believed cinnamon grew in Arabia. Pepper was thought to grow in dark, dangerous forests no outsider could enter. But the truth. Pepper came from India's Malabar coast. Cinnamon came from Sri Lanka. Cloves and nutmeg came from tiny Indonesian islands. These places were guarded like treasure vaults. Local rulers controlled every tree. Foreigners were forbidden to enter growing areas. Spice gardens were hidden deep inside islands. It was the world's first version of intellectual property protection. Knowledge power. Secrecy wealth. Whoever controlled the source controlled the world. The Silk Road, a web of wealth and power. The Silk Road wasn't just one road, it was an entire system. Caravans moved through Persia, Central Asia, and China. Spices passed through many hands, each adding profit. This system linked 11 and Samarkand, Baghdad, Cairo, Venice. Empires rose and fell along it. Kings built roads to control it. Warriors fought to protect it. The Silk Road became the world's first economic superhighway. Its success proved one truth. When nations trade, they grow. When they control trade, they rule. How spices built powerful kingdoms. Every great trading empire owed something to spices. India. The spice-rich Malabar and Coromandel coasts funded powerful kingdoms and attracted foreign wealth for over 2000 years. Sri Lanka. Its cinnamon forests helped build kingdoms that survived invasions, colonizers, and centuries of war. Indonesia. Tiny islands like Banda and Ternate became the richest places on earth simply because they grew cloves and nutmeg. East Africa. Kilwa, Zanzibar, and Mogadishu became powerful trade cities due to their role in the spice network. Spices shaped borders, economies, and even religions. The rise of Venice, Europe's spice gate. By the Middle Ages, Venice controlled Europe's access to spices. Venetian ships ruled the Mediterranean. Their merchants had exclusive deals with Arab traders. Their warehouses were filled with pepper, cloves, and ginger. Venice became a superpower not through land but through trade. Other European nations grew jealous. They wanted direct access to Asia. This jealousy would spark something historic. The ancient spice roads begin. The earliest spice routes weren't maps, they were memories. Paths whispered by travelers, guarded by nomads, learned through generations. Arab traders crossed deserts with caravans loaded with spices. Indian sailors followed monsoon winds across the Indian Ocean. Chinese merchants carried silk, tea, and rare aromatics westward. Slowly, these paths connected. China to India, India to Arabia, Arabia to Africa, and finally to Europe. These roads formed the first international network of wealth, thousands of kilometers long, and they existed long before ships or empires. Where spices traveled, cultures mixed. Religion, science, language, and ideas followed the same path. Spices didn't just build trade, they built civilization. Arab traders and the first global networks. For over 1000 years, Arab merchants ruled the spice world. They mastered the monsoon winds. They built ports from Yemen to Zanzibar. They kept the source of spices a secret from Europe. Arab traders controlled the supply, the price, and the routes. They were the first global middlemen, and they became legendary. Their ships, called dhows, carried pepper, cloves, cinnamon, and frankincense across the Indian Ocean. They formed a trade network stretching from East Africa to China. This network became the backbone of global commerce, centuries before Europe learned the route. Arab traders pioneered maritime navigation, international credit systems, diplomatic trade agreements, multi-continent supply chains. Their mastery created the earliest version of a global economy. The Dutch East India Company, the world's first corporation. In 1602, the Netherlands created the Vichy Dutch East India Company, the first true multinational corporation in history. It could wage war, sign treaties, establish colonies, mint money, build armies, control entire economies. The Vichy monopolized the spice trade, especially cloves, nutmeg and mint. At its peak, it was richer than Apple, Amazon, and Google combined relative to the global economy of its time. Spices gave birth to corporate capitalism from spices to global trade systems. The spice trade laid the foundation for stock markets, global shipping routes, international banking, corporate finance, colonial empires, modern supply chains. Everything we consider globalization began with spices. The world economy grew because nations fought, traded, negotiated, and built around one goal. Control the flavor that everyone wanted. How a taste for flavor built the modern economy. Spices changed the world forever. They connected continents. They created corporations. They sparked exploration. They funded empires. They built global trade systems. From tiny seeds grew the first global economy. The rise of capitalism, international shipping, worldwide cultural exchange. All from something as small as peppercorns and cinnamon sticks. Spices didn't just flavor food. They flavored history. The cultural awakening of Europe. The spice trade did not just reshape economies, it reshaped culture. Food changed. European diets became richer, more diverse, more flavorful. Medicine transformed. Spices fought infection, preserved food, cured fevers, and soothed stomachs. Fashion shifted. Perfumes and incense became mainstream. Religion shifted. Spices played roles in Christian rituals, Islamic tradition, Hindu ceremonies, Buddhist offerings. The entire spiritual fabric of civilizations incorporated spices. Art bloomed. Painters depicted spice ships. Poets wrote about exotic flavors. Writers described distant islands. The spice trade opened Europe's imagination, the beginning of the Renaissance. The hidden cost, slavery and suffering. Behind all the wealth and discovery lay a dark reality. The spice trade helped expand the global slave trade. European demand for plantations led to mass importation of enslaved Africans and Asians. Millions labored in sugar plantations, cotton fields, tea estates, spice farms. Many died from disease, overwork and abuse. Entire populations were displaced. Cultures were destroyed. Indigenous people were wiped out in Banda Ceylon and parts of Maluku. Globalization had a price paid by the powerless. This is the shadow of the spice story. India becomes the engine of the British Empire. While the Dutch economy declined, the British East India Company grew into a monster. But unlike the Dutch, the British didn't limit themselves to spices. They transformed India into the economic engine of their empire. From India, Britain extracted pepper, still huge demand. Tea after smuggling tea plants from China. Cotton to fuel British factories. Indigo for dye. Opium to force open Chinese markets. Pepper and cardamom earned fortunes. Tea changed British culture. Cotton powered the Industrial Revolution. Opium created the world's largest drug empire. All of this began with spice trade infrastructure. Ports, warehouse, shipping networks, trade treaties, military outposts. Spices had built the skeleton. Britain added the flesh. The rise of corporate empires. Companies like the VOC and EIC were not businesses in the modern sense, they were prototypes of corporate empires. They invented global supply chains, international stock markets, employee contracts, corporate militaries, shareholder systems, business-backed governments. The entire modern corporate world, Amazon, Apple, Samsung, Toyota, Shell, owes its structure to these early spice companies. Spices created the corporate blueprint. The world of capitalism was born from nutmeg and pepper. How spices changed science and navigation. The desire for spices forced Europe to innovate. New navigation tools. The astrolabe, the magnetic compass, maritime clocks, star charts, latitude measurements, better ships, caravels, galleons, East Indiamen, better maps, spice routes revealed coastlines, islands, harbors, and wind patterns. Cartographers drew the world piece by piece. New sciences. Botany blossomed. Pharmacology advanced. Geography matured into a real discipline. All because Europe wanted pepper on their meat. The fall of the mighty Dutch East India Company. By the 1700s, the VOC was still powerful but weakening. Monopolies are fragile. They depend on control, fear, secrecy, scarcity. Once these foundations cracked, the collapse became inevitable. The VOC faced multiple disasters. Rising costs of war, corruption, competition from the British, smuggling destroying monopolies, artificial scarcity backfiring. Wars, the world was changing. New crops were now growing everywhere. Europe no longer depended solely on Maluku. The company went bankrupt in 1799, ending the most powerful corporation in human history. A business built on spices had conquered kingdoms. But the global economy no longer needed it. The world had evolved. When tea and sugar replaced spices. As spice monopolies weakened, new global commodities took their place. Sugar from the Caribbean, tea from China, coffee from Yemen and Java, cotton from India and America, tobacco from the New World. These goods were consumed daily, not occasionally. Their demand was infinite. Spices were still valuable, but they were no longer the center of world trade. Tea became the new obsession of Europe. Sugar became the addiction of the masses. Cotton powered the world's first factories. Ships that once carried cloves now carried slaves, sugar, and cotton. Kingdoms that fought for nutmeg now fought for plantations and ports. The spice world had lit the spark, but the fire had moved elsewhere. The battle for pepper, India becomes the prize. Pepper was still the world's most important spice. India produced most of it, and whoever controlled Indian pepper controlled the global spice economy. The Dutch tried to dominate it, but India was too vast, too complex, too politically fragmented. Hundreds of small kingdoms ruled different regions, and alliances shifted constantly. The English saw an opportunity. They didn't conquer with brute force, they conquered with trade agreements, diplomacy, bribery, loans, manipulation, divide and rule politics. Slowly, the English East India Company embedded itself into Indian society, influencing rulers, collecting taxes, and building private armies. Pepper opened the door. Cotton widened it. Tea completed the takeover. Spices didn't just build the world's first global economy, they built the British Empire. The global shift from spices to empire. By the 1700s, the world economy had transformed. What began as a simple trade in aromatic seeds had created new navigation systems, new maps, new ships, new banking systems, new insurance markets, global corporations, worldwide colonization, the rise of Europe, the decline of Asia's free trade, the first interconnected world. Spices were no longer just food flavoring, they were the fuel of globalization. The world had become a marketplace. Empires existed to control commodities. Wars were fought over plants. Maps were drawn according to trade winds. Spices started it all. But the story wasn't over. The final chapter would reshape continents. The last part will show how the spice trade led to industrialization, capitalism, corporate power, and the modern global economy. Venice, the silent loser. Before Portugal, before Spain, Venice controlled Europe's spice supply. They bought goods from Arab merchants and sold them to Europe at huge profits. But when Portugal opened the sea route to India, Venice's centuries-long monopoly collapsed overnight. Spice prices crashed in Mediterranean markets. Venice lost wealth, power, and influence. Their navy shrank. Their political clout evaporated. This was the first time in history that a new trade route destroyed an entire empire's economic foundation. Globalization has winners and losers. Venice became the first casualty of the New World. The Dutch arrived, the merchant kings. By the 1600s, Portugal was overstretched, corrupt, and weakened. Their ships were outdated. Their armies were small. Their ports were vulnerable. Enter the Dutch. A small, cold, swampy country with no natural resources except one: business intelligence. The Dutch were organized, disciplined, and ruthless. They created the world's first multinational corporation, the Dutch East India Company, VOC. The VOC was a new kind of beast. They had private armies. They built their own forts. They minted their own currency. They could wage war. They could negotiate treaties. They could govern entire colonies. This was not a company. It was a state. And its single goal was simple: control the spice world, the VOC, and the monopoly of madness. The Dutch East India Company attacked Portuguese ports, seized their ships and captured Malacca. Then they invaded the Spice Islands. The Vichy was not more violent than Portugal. They were more efficient. They understood that monopoly required one thing: control the supply. So they burned clove trees in one island to drive up prices, forced farmers to grow only Vichy-approved crops, executed chiefs who resisted, deported villagers, destroyed rival spice gardens. The Vichy created an artificial scarcity. Prices soared. Profits exploded. Amsterdam became the financial capital of Europe. Dutch banks became the strongest in the world. The Netherlands transformed from a small province into a global superpower. All thanks to spices. The Banda Massacre, nutmeg's darkest chapter. The most horrific chapter in spice history occurred in the Banda Islands, the only place on earth where nutmeg grew naturally. The Bandanese people wanted to trade freely with everyone: Arabs, Chinese, English, Portuguese. But the Dutch demanded exclusive rights. The Bandanese refused. The Vichy responded with brutality. In 1621, they launched a full-scale invasion. Thousands of Bandanese were killed. Survivors were enslaved or deported. Entire villages burned. The Dutch resettled the islands with imported slaves to farm nutmeg under Dutch control. This atrocity gave the Vichy full control of nutmeg for nearly 2 centuries. One spice, one company. One of the darkest monopolies in human history. England enters the arena. England arrived late to the spice race, but brought something different: ambition mixed with innovation. The English East India Company, EIC, was inspired by the Dutch model but even more aggressive. They realized spices alone couldn't make them a superpower. So they adapted. The EIC focused on pepper in India, cotton in Bengal, tea in China, opium to control trade flows. While the Dutch obsessed over cloves and nutmeg, the English built a diversified empire. Their real goal wasn't spices, it was global dominance. But first, they needed a foothold: the fall of Portuguese power. By the mid-1600s, Portugal was exhausted. Their empire was too large, too weak, and too corrupt to survive. The Dutch seized their most valuable spice ports. England took others. What had taken Portugal a century to build collapsed in decades. Their global monopoly shattered. Their empire crumbled. Their wealth disappeared. The Portuguese age of spices ended, not with a bang but a slow fading. And a new rivalry now shaped the world: Dutch versus English. The end of the Spice Age. By the 1800s, the world had changed completely. Spices were still valuable, but they were grown in many colonies. Prices were stable. Supply was abundant. They no longer justified war. New obsessions dominated: steam engines, coal, steel, railways, cotton mills, opium monopolies, industrial factories. The Spice Age, which had lasted over 3,000 years, quietly ended. But its impact was permanent. Spices had connected continents, built cities, created corporations, sparked exploration, destroyed empires, inspired new technologies, written global history. The world as we know it exists because ancient people desired flavor, healing, and fragrance. The legacy of spices in the modern world. Today, spices are cheap. They sit in kitchen drawers unnoticed, but their legacy is everywhere. Global shipping, born from spice routes. Stock markets, created to finance spice voyages. Corporate power, invented by VOC and EIC. Tourism and travel, inspired by exploration. Global cuisine, a direct descendant of ancient spice trade. International diplomacy, rooted in early trade treaties. Economic globalization. Spices were the first catalyst. Spices were small, but their impact was gigantic. How spices built the first global economy. Let's step back and see the full picture. Spices motivated early trade routes, connected Asia, Africa, and Europe, created the first multinational corporations, established long-distance shipping, inspired exploration, sparked colonization, shifted global power, founded modern capitalism, built financial systems, created global competition, and ultimately birthed the world economy. The world became global for one reason. Human beings chased flavor. Civilizations rose because kings wanted pepper on their feasts. Empires fell because merchants wanted nutmeg for their wines. Countries were discovered because sailors chased cinnamon wines. Food shaped fate. Taste shaped trade. Trade shaped the world. The global economy is not a modern invention.